Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. DraftKings Showdown for Monday Night Football of Week 8. We got a game between the Raiders and the Lions. This one's in Detroit. Lions favored by 8, total of 46.5. Plenty of great spots for us to go offensively in this game. I'm excited to watch this one. I hope that you guys are too. So we're going to take a look over on DraftKings and see what we can do in terms of their Showdown tournament. Who I believe the optimal captains are going to be, who we should be focusing on at captain, a couple of sprinkle plays you guys to put into your flex that may be lower owned. We're going to build an underdog pick'em card and take a look over it, how we can build those lineups over on the Fantasy Labs lineup builder. Whether you're entering the $15 tournament or the mini max games, you should find out if you're the next great MME player, mass multi-entry type player, and how using a lineup builder and an optimizer can help you be more efficient with your time. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go.
He's a legend.
Every single Monday on the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel, the recap video comes out. By the time you're watching this on Monday afternoon, the Week 8 recap will be out. The Week 6 recap, the Week 7 recap. You can catch up on how I did over the weekend, my cash game lineup, my high stakes tournament lineup, my millionaire maker lineups, everything else that I do, as well as breaking down the cheat sheet that I post in Discord every single Friday for YouTube channel members and Twitch subscribers. And then we go over the winners lineup from the Al Smizzle Listener League and shout out all of the top 10 finishers in that. So be on the lookout for the Week 8 recap video on Monday afternoon. Let's take a look at what we have on this slate at captain. Look, it's going to be somewhat straightforward. Let's go team by team this time, right? I got 4 guys on Detroit and I have 3 on the Raiders that I think that we should be focusing on. And we're going to start with the injuries. Obviously, David Montgomery out for this game, ruled out long ahead of time. We have a little bit of a sample now where we saw what happened 2 times when Jahmyr Gibbs was the lead guy here and here. Last week against Baltimore in week 7, 9 catches. They got completely just trampled. He did scamper for a 21-yard touchdown. He is outstanding in the passing game, though I do not believe they will be playing from behind in this one. So don't expect 10 targets, probably more along the lines of 3-4 for Jahmyr Gibbs. And in the last game, there was like this sneaking suspicion that all of us had that like possibly Craig Reynolds was going to be utilized a little bit more than any of us would have wanted him to be. He got 7 snaps out of 75. However, again, they were playing from behind and Reynolds not anywhere near as good in the passing game. So we'll see what happens if they play from ahead in this one. But the 2 most optimal captains, one, Jahmyr Gibbs, for the obvious reason. You don't really need to correlate him with anything else. If you want to play the Detroit defense, I would probably not play the defense on the other side. If you're using Jahmyr Gibbs at the captain spot in the flex, all bets are off. It's a single game sample. It kind of is what it is. So Jahmyr Gibbs, great floor, ceiling, snap expectation, 20 plus touch expectation, home favored, everything. He is going to be expensive if you plug him into the captain spot. Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the highest targeted players in the league, and in DraftKings scoring, with every target worth 2.3 times as much as each rush attempt, that is kind of the perfect usage. We want high target players. There's not much else that he's competing with. Yes, there are other receivers. Jamison Williams back from his suspension, and Josh Reynolds has been solid. He's a professional wide receiver, and you know there's guys running Khalif Raymond and MJJ and everything else, but like everything runs through ARSB. If we are going to play Amon-Ra St. Brown in that captain spot, I'm going to make sure that I have Jared Goff as a flex play in that lineup, because if Amon-Ra St. Brown has one of these games again, because he does it basically all the time, except against like Green Bay, right? But against Tampa Bay, 12 catches, 124 and a tutty. Atlanta, 9 catches, 102 and 6 catches, and 13 against Baltimore as they played from behind that entire game. If he has a big game, multiple touchdowns, enough to warrant him being the optimal captain. He doesn't need multiple touchdowns with as much service as he's getting through the air, right? You can get there on volume alone. If he has a 100-yard bonus, 12 catches, just 1 touchdown, 33 points is an awful lot, especially when you use that 50% multiplier for having him in the captain spot. 48, 49 points is going to be hard for other players to outperform It's not that it's impossible, but it's difficult. Obviously, Jared Goff playing at home is going to be the narrative that everybody wants to tell themselves, with it being there again this year, averaging 15.6 fantasy points on the road, 24.5 fantasy points at home. He is at home in this game, so that puts him in, you know, everybody's wheelhouse, I guess, right? Like, we're not going to avoid it. You're not going to sneak up on anybody, and the narrative is going to tell people, well, Goff at home and favored, and the Raiders a really targetable defense. And without the possibility of just running the football a ton with David Montgomery, sure, they're going to run Jahmyr Gibbs off guard an awful lot, because that's just kind of what they do. If you're going to play Goff at captain, I want to build in this passing game group with everything else that they have on the team. Every pass catcher. Khalif Raymond, another guy that you have to consider, because not only is he involved a little bit, he's got enough involvement in the passing game, but if you have, you can doubly correlate him. If you have Raymond, Goff, and the Lions defense, if he's their kick returner, if he returns a kick for a touchdown, you can kind of double dip. You get the 6 points for him crossing the goal line, then you get the DST gets 6 points as well. So double dip opportunity with Khalif Raymond. If he catches a touchdown pass and returns a touchdown, and you have the defense and Jared Goff in that lineup, you get the double dip. And most people don't ever experience the double dip. And the kicker correlates a lot better than people realize. So if I've got captain, quarterback, I will allow the kicker. Actually, I will put him in that group to be there. We'll build a bring back group with Las Vegas. The other captain that I think we have to consider is Sam Laporta, performing on volume like an all-pro caliber tight end, at least in terms of fantasy, right? 7 targets, 11 targets here, 6, 5, no less than 4 targets in any game. That one was against Carolina, a game that they ran away, and he still had 2 touchdowns in that game. 13 fantasy points is nothing to sneeze at from a tight end. Multiple touchdowns always in play for a guy that gets around the goal line, especially when they're battering ram like David Montgomery is out. You might see a couple of more red zone or end zone targets for somebody like Sam Laporta when they get in close. So Sam Laporta, same rules would apply for me. If Laporta is going to be played by you at captain, be sure that you're going to have Jared Goff in that lineup, because for him to be the captain and outscore Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's going to have like a 25 plus point night. If he has that sort of night, 25 plus points times 50%. So it'll be a 37.5 point night at captain. Jared Goff also going to probably have himself a night. Looking at the other side of things, I've got 3 captains for you, and one of them's not going to be who you think. Davante Adams is who going to be, he's going to be the one that you thought of. Like, massive ceiling for him. We just haven't seen it, but like, part of the reason we haven't seen it, he's played games with AOC, he's played games with Brian Hoyer. Like, there's been very little continuity. He looked a lot better at the beginning of the season. 12.6, 20, 45.2 in the games where Jimmy G played. And guess what, guys? Jimmy G is back. Thankfully. Practiced fully. He's ready to go. Hopefully he can stay healthy, because this offense just runs better with him under center. Detroit, a solid defense. They force things away from where you want to go. I don't know that anybody can do that fully to Davante Adams, no matter how good the defense or how good the cornerback situation. They're going to find the ball into his hands, and targets being earned and not given. He is going to earn targets against any cornerback situation that's out there, unless Dan Campbell decides we're going to make everyone else beat us and just totally take him away. Then that opens up Jacoby Myers, not just a law firm in Southern California. Touchdowns in the last 3 games. Remember when he was on New England? It was like, oh, Jacoby Myers, he's not good. He can't score touchdowns. Maybe it wasn't his fault, because he's got 5 through the first 7 weeks of this season, and is very capable of playing off of, like, he did a great job of earning targets in New England. He just was on the wrong side of variance for so long that it became a meme. And now playing off of Davante Adams and running into single coverage against a secondary cornerback all the time. Jacoby Myers has a massive advantage against every team that he goes up against, because defenses have to roll. He sees single coverage from the second best cornerback on the other team. I think that he is extremely viable at captain in this game, especially if the game script goes according to the way that the totals look, with the Lions having a 27.5 point total. If the Raiders can score 21 or 24 points, keep this game close while playing from behind, being in a pass script sort of situation, a positive game flow situation where Jimmy G's got to throw it 44, 30 something times with as efficient as he can be at completing passes, especially in the short to intermediate route, where somebody like Jacoby Myers exists. All of a sudden we have a fantastic situation. I will not probably be playing Jimmy Garoppolo at the captain spot. It is possible, I suppose, that he has a captain type night where he completes 4 touchdown passes for 300 yards. But in the case that that happens, the volume on this offense is so condensed that if he has that sort of night, one of his pass catchers is probably going to be a more optimal captain than he will, pushing him out of it. He does not add anything with his legs. He is a statue of a quarterback. So if he has that massive sort of day, think like the game that Will Levis had for Tennessee. Threw for 4 touchdowns, 200 something yards, but like if that was a showdown that you were playing, Hopkins would have been the optimal and not him, because he wasn't able to do it without Hopkins. There's not enough on that offense where he can spread it out kind of like Patrick Mahomes to 8-9 different pass catchers, where he would be the guy who reaps the biggest benefit and no other pass catcher gets to be the captain. So typically I would limit Jimmy G to like 5% at captain. I may have none. I may have a little bit, but it's going to be less. It's going to be essentially a sprinkle at the captain spot. I'll have him all over those lineups in flex, especially the ones that have the Raiders at the captain spot. And if you wanted an off-brand captain, if you think things are going to go sideways, and things do, it's the NFL, guys. Like the Baltimore Ravens took apart this Lions team a week ago, and then through the first half of the game today are struggling to move the football against the Arizona Cardinals. Weird things happen. So if this game does kind of go sideways and Josh Jacobs can get off the schneid, he has not been efficient so far this year, but the volume's been extremely good. If he can break a long touchdown, if he can have a multiple touchdown game, he could end up as a captain. Not going to be anything more than a sprinkle here, but somebody that, because of the volume, we do have to mention. Detroit, not a team that I want to play running backs into, but in the smallest sample size game with the largest amount of variance, you do have to take that into consideration when you have as high a volume running back as Josh Jacobs is. Let's head over to Underdog Fantasy. We're going to build a pick'em for this slate. Let's go higher than Devontae Adams here. If you do not have an account over at Underdog Fantasy, why not? They're giving you free money. All you have to do is, this is great. The Halloween Michael Meyer. I kind of probably have to do that, right? Over 21 yards. Let's do that. We'll do that. $20. Boom. Oh, max 5. No, I don't want to do max 5 then. No, I don't want that at all. I want $100 pick'em. And let's see who we got on the other side. I have hit my entry. No, I have not. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 15 fantasy points. I can't put anything else. Fine, I'll do a Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's go Jahmyr Gibbs over. Let's do the combined. I understand that it's higher. You get free money. Up to a $500 first-time deposit bonus to Underdog Fantasy if you use the promo code ALSMIZZLE. ALSMIZZLE, all one word. If you deposit $500, they will put $500 more free dollars into your account that you use for pick'ems or battle royales or best ball drafts or any of the great products that they have over there. So go check it out. We're going to play these two to win $300, and it's just as easy as that. Let's go take a look at players that I think might be underplayed. We just saw Michael Mayer, but look, it's Halloween, right? It's Halloween time. So he's going to be Michael Myers, at least for this one. He is very weirdly priced at an awkward price point. The price is fine as far as I'm concerned. Also, you want to attack Detroit through the tight end spot. They're very good against running backs. Teams tend to have to throw against them as they play from ahead very often. And that's where they are funneling catches to, right? So with the increase in snaps and routes run for this rookie as the season has gone along, he became kind of chalky against the Bears last week and disappointed. So we might experience a little bit of fantasy flop lag here, where we get him the week after against the defense that does funnel targets to that position. 3,800 for him in the flex. I think he's going to be somewhat popular, but not like over 30%. So somewhat of a low owned play, a weird priced play. We always find somebody in this range, right? That's never going to be highly held. Jamison Williams playing just under about 50% of the snaps. All of his targets, though, very, very, very much downfield. This is a boom or bust. 50-yard touchdown or nothing. Got behind the Raiders' gettable defense or you lost with that lineup sort of play. He is going to take up a lot of salary. He is going to force you onto a lower salaried play. And for that reason, I don't think he's going to be really highly held. Only 4 catches through the first 3 games. Did catch 1 for a touchdown, the 45-yard variety. Because of this price point, these $5,200 guys, remember we had Thomas a few weeks ago. These guys in the 5 to 6K range that have ceiling either on volume or big play, big splash ability, guys that I like to target. A couple of more. There's a lot in this game. Hunter Renfrow, these are the, like, if they get us 5-6 points, you might be enough. And if they sneak into the end zone, even better. 1,200 for Hunter Renfrow. At least he's out there running routes. Nowhere near what he was performing as the last couple of years. But again, in Showdown, if he gets you those 3 points on volume and happens to end one of them in the end zone, that's a 9-point fantasy day for 1,200 points. More than enough. The guy that I like better is Trey Tucker at 600. Same sort of volume, seeing a snap increase and a routes increase the last few weeks. So we're getting a situation here with the same, a little bit more spry than a Hunter Renfrow. More big playability from Trey Tucker than from Hunter Renfrow with half the price and a similar floor. So he should be able to contribute and be that salary relief guy for you. And we mentioned before the Khalif Raymond double dip. If you play the Lions defense and you want to get Khalif Raymond out there, he's a little bit more expensive. He is more involved in the passing game. 3 targets, 2 targets. There are routes for him to run and points for him to go gather, but the big time upside through correlation, either whether it's through Jared Goff or with that Lions defense who can pressure the hell out of an opposing quarterback, especially a statue like Jimmy G. Khalif Raymond might be able, if he can return you a kick in those lineups. If you have Raymond and the defense, you get both touchdowns. And in Showdown, that can be the difference from finishing first and in like 2068th. We're going to head over to Fantasy Labs. And if you do not have an account and want a discounted subscription over to Fantasy Labs, it's smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L. Here are the rules that I start with every single Showdown. Pairing our captain quarterback with at least 2 of their pass catchers or kicker, captain quarterback with 1 of the skill position players from the other team, captain wide receiver with exactly their quarterback, and captain tight end, force their quarterback into that lineup. And I limit to at most 1 defense or kicker from the same game. I don't want more than 1 in any lineup. If you want more than 1, set it to 2. Do however you want to do it. You can build your own lineups any way that you want. You don't have to do what I say. This is just what I do. I'm sharing my process with you. If you disagree and you want to play it somewhere, somehow, some other way, you're more than welcome to. You don't need my permission. I do force at least 1 player that's a running back or a wide receiver. Their projected ownership is less than 25% because I want to try to get different. You can set this lower if you want to try and get even more different, or force players that are under 2K into a lineup so you're not forcing a defense in there. We'll apply these settings and we'll click generate to try and build 150 lineups. Realize that you're going to have to go through and set your min maxes, your allocations, your correlations to get these lineups looking the way that you want them to look. Tell yourself a story and build the lineup for that game script that you are telling yourself. Figure out how the points are going to be scored and where they're going to come from. And the lineup builder can help you be that guy if you're a mini max player for 25 cents an entry, or if you're playing in the big tournament for 15 bucks. So I appreciate you guys being here, and look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.